Hi, whether you are in school or college or even preparing for a competitive exam, then academics is something that you cannot neglect. But that doesn't mean that you need to study 10 to 12 hours a day to become the class topper. Although it is partially true that if you are preparing for a competitive exam such as JEE Mains or NEET. But what if you are in college? Academics is not the only thing that you have in college. There are skills to learn, career to build, and most importantly, your social and college life. Sometimes it becomes very hectic to manage all of this. And what do is we neglect our academics and later we suffer. But what if I tell you that you can manage your academics while having all the fun in the college? It sounds ridiculous, right? But trust me, you can do that. Because I've done that. I have scored 6.5 in my first year. I have almost failed in a subject. But just by changing my study approach and fixing my study routine, I went from 6.5 to 8.9, 9.35 and 9.38 in the next 3 semesters, and that too without missing the college fun. So this video is going to be a game changer for you because I am going to tell you that 3 different study routines which I used in 3 different semesters in 3 different situations which you can follow right from today. And third strategy is the most important and my personal favorite. If you're new here, my name is Teja. I'm a third year BTech student at IIT Guwahati. So with that being said, let's get started. So the first approach is called as the toppers approach. I used this approach in my third semester where I scored 9.38 in that sem. After completely neglecting my academics in my first year where I scored 6.5, I really wanted to change and improve my grades, for which I wanted to score like a topper. But to score like a topper, I first wanted to study like a topper. So I started to analyze all of my topper friends to find out what makes a topper a topper. Like everyone else in the starting, even I thought they study at least 10 hours a day. But I was wrong. What they actually do is 2 things. First, they go to classes regularly. Not just go to classes, they pay attention to the classes, make notes, clear their doubts, and guess what? Most of the study happen in the class itself. And second is they don't keep any work pending. They finish all of their assignments on time. They stay up to date with the class. That's it. No fancy techniques, no 10 hours of study session every day. Just these 2 basic rules. After actually finding out the truth, I immediately set 2 rules, which I followed for the rest of the semester. Rule number 1 is that I will go to classes regularly, not just go to classes, but pay attention and make notes and clear all of my doubts in the class itself. Rule number 2 is I will study for 3 hours every day after my dinner from 9 to 12. At first, it was very hard to maintain the consistency, but when I actually started going to classes and studied what was taught in the class, I really understood the topics. I was able to actually answer to the questions that my professor asked in the class. And when I started to answer these questions, my confidence naturally boosted. And this helped me to remain consistent. The main advantages of this approach is that you feel confident in your studies and you can actually enjoy the process when you're studying in a group of friends. And one more thing is that you don't feel any exam pressure because you're already studying what was taught in the class at that time itself. But there is a drawback. You need to be consistent and you need to invest your time. But Teja, not everyone can remain consistent and spend 3 hours a day every single day. What about them? Do not worry, man, I got you. I have a more better approach for you where you don't have to study 3 hours a day for every single day. I call this approach as the chapter based approach. If you understood the first approach, the second approach is just a modification of it. I used this approach in my first semester where I scored 9.35 in that semester, and I also saved a lot of time which I invested in my projects and hackathons. This is the semester where I actually won a national level hackathon and I also got an internship as well. So this is a very powerful approach. If you recall the 2 rules from the last approach, I followed the first rule as it is, but I changed rule number 2. Instead of studying 3 hours every single day, I only used to study for 30 minutes every day just before going to the class. And I have set another third rule that every week on a weekend, preferably Sunday, that too in the morning, I would be having a 3 hours of study session. This saved me a lot of time in my weekdays, which I focused on projects and hackathons. And the reason I chose the Sunday morning is that because it is the most peaceful time of the whole week. I have no disturbance and my mind is very fresh. It also helped me retain what I studied for the longer time. This approach is mainly useful for those people who have lot of commitments in their college, who are involved in various projects, hackathons, clubs, etc. etc. You can work the whole weekdays on your projects and you can focus on your academics on Sunday mornings very peacefully. And now we come to the third and my most favorite approach, which is called as the smart prioritization approach. During my 5th semester, I had a project idea which I wanted to scale up. After my summer internship, I also wanted to start a YouTube channel where I'll be documenting about my life and I'll be posting the life lessons that I learned in my college, which is the current channel that you're watching this video on. So if you still didn't subscribe to this channel, consider subscribing to it to stay connected with me and learn from my mistakes. So coming back to the approach. So basically I wanted to invest a lot of time in project and learn about YouTube. So I started analyzing how can I steal some time from my academic schedule. That's when I found a loophole. If you closely observe one semester, which is roughly around 4 months, let's consider January, February, March and April. And we have two major exams, mid-semester and end-semester, that too at the end of 2nd and 4th month. We do not have any major exam in the month of January and March, which is nothing but the 1st and the 3rd month. So I have to prioritize my time very smartly. So what I did is, for the first month I have prioritized my project over my academics. I spend most of my time on developing my project in this month. Whereas in the 3rd month, I spent most of the time learning about YouTube. Here also I didn't spend much time in academics. But one thing I did in these 2 months is I went to classes regularly. But in the 2nd and 4th month, I prioritized academics over project and other things. During the transition from 1st month to 2nd month, I slowly started spending less time on my project and started spending more time on academics, which means I progressively increased the number of study hours that I used in that month. By the time I reach my exam, my study hours would be around 7 to 8 hours per day. So this approach saved me lots and lots of time. This approach created a perfect balance in managing my academics with my projects and YouTube. In this semester, I scored 8.9 while finishing my project and also starting YouTube. And that's the reason this is my favorite approach. This approach is very, very helpful especially when you're preparing for your internship placements, or you're starting your own startup, or when you're doing something extra out of your academics and when you need a lot of time for that. And finally, these are the 3 study approaches that I promised in the beginning of this video. And now it's your time to choose one of the approach and start implementing it right from today. But how do you do it? So for that, I want you to analyze yourself. Analyze your current situation, the amount of commitments that you have, the amount of time that you can spend on your academics, and which approach suits you better. I want you to do one more thing. I want you to comment down what was your analysis. Like, what is your current situation? What is the approach that you are going to follow? It need not to be a single approach. You can even mix and match these approaches and create your own new approach. I want you to set some rules for you and try to follow them for the rest of the semester. Believe me, I am the living proof that these approaches do work and it gave me results. So if you have actually reached this far of this video, then I would like to give you an advice, a genuine advice. See, watching 100 different videos on YouTube on smart study or study techniques won't help you actually. Without putting efforts and investing your time, you cannot achieve anything. So do not expect a magic technique that you can use without even spending any amount of time. You can get a 9+ grade. So if somebody even tells you that, then this is bullshit. And finally, one more thing. You working productively and managing all of your academics with your college life is more important than subscribing to this channel. So let's go. Let's rock the sums.